All right, Sue Gearan, thank you for being here today, albeit virtually, from a very exotic location by the looks of it. Sue Gearan is the owner of Global Yacht Concierge. You're in San Francisco or close to San Francisco right now?
Yes, I am. I got stuck out here,
Poor
came
you.
to visit a friend, and that was 8 weeks ago. It was supposed to be a week trip. So, yeah, I'm a bit lucky, I think, to be socially distancing in San Francisco.
Yeah, well, at least today it looks nice and sunny there.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm staying on a boat while I'm out here, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, so can you just tell me a little bit about your Global Yacht Concierge and what you do?
So I own a yacht charter and concierge business in Newport. I've been in business for 5 years now. Previous to that, I was crew for about 15 years on a variety of charter boats in the Caribbean and private yachts, sailboats, catamarans, mega yachts, the whole deal. So that's what I did just previous. And before that, out of college, I was actually a yacht charter broker in my 20s. And that's how I kind of fell into the other side of the industry, which is usually the reverse. It's usually you're a crew first and then a broker second, because you learn about the job, by being at charter shows and whatnot. But I actually, because I was in my 20s while I was a charter broker, I fell in love with all the crew from around the world and their exotic stories and cool life. And I was like, I need to try this for a little while. And met a guy and sailed off, and we worked together for about 15 years. So that was great. But yeah, eventually I was like, I need to use my brain again and get back and start something a little bit different from what I did before. And so I started the concierge side and the day charter side of it for Newport, as well as doing term charters. I was joined Carol Kent again when I came back, but now I'm just on my own with my own company, Global Yacht Concierge. And yeah, so basically I do, as I said, day charters. And the concierge is anywhere from event planning in Newport for big races like Volvo Ocean Race. Mafre was a client of mine. Also do house rentals for race teams that come in. So kind of the yacht concierge angle is that I help people with yachts, owners of yachts, crew from yachts. I've done crew placement for a little bit. I don't do a lot of that anymore, but I am always willing to help if somebody needs a gig or to be connected somehow. I network a lot. I think that's a big part of my business is networking people. So yeah, that concierge gives me a little variety, which I like. And also during a time like this, keeps me afloat because I'm not just focused on chartering. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, how have you been affected by this whole
Well,
pandemic?
basically the charter side, especially the vacation charter side in the Caribbean and the Mediterranean, came to a screeching halt with the travel bans and whatnot. So that's probably going to slowly open up, but I feel like the industry is still navigating through and trying to figure out how that's going to work. And
Yeah,
I'm just trying to be responsible and watch for a little bit before jumping back in and starting to sell.
yeah.
I just think I don't know enough yet about it, and I don't think anyone does. So I just think everybody needs to proceed with caution, because we have a duty to do that, and I just think it's the right way to practice. But obviously we all need to get back to work and start making money again. But I do think we have to do that carefully and just be very, very cautious of how that's done and make sure we do it safely and that everybody's happy with it. But yeah, it's pretty much quiet. The day charter aspect, I do think will come back first, because I think people will probably stay local. So, for instance, day chartering in Newport, once things get lifted, it slowly and getting together with a small group of people on a boat, whether it be your immediate family or your, you know, bubble, your circle of friends that you want to go out
Partnership
with.
buddies.
Yeah, exactly. and getting out on a boat. I think right now renting your own boat is fine. I think that has been okayed by the governor. I know some of the companies like Freedom Boat Club, for instance, you can go rent a boat for the day, and they just make sure it's very clean, and they have a whole new policy about cleanliness, following CDC rules. And obviously the yachting industry will have the same, from a cleaning standpoint. Yachts are probably the cleanest place you could ever step on, anytime, as you know, Pearl.
Point. That's a very good point. I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's about the cleanest environment you're gonna get, because those crew just sit around and spit polish all day when they're not working. So that's a bonus for the industry. And again, small groups away from people. I do think it could be good, really good, for the industry. So it's just all about mixing, guests with crew members, and how that all is done safely. And I think only time will tell with that.
When do you foresee any sort of normalizing within the industry? And do you think that certain areas will come back more quickly than others?
Well, so for instance, Miami, Florida, they're already doing charters again. Their state opened up for that. I think because Florida, especially Southern Florida, realizes yachting is almost essential. It's a huge part of their economy. And again, they roll a little bit differently. So they've decided to kind of dip their toe in and start and see how it goes. I understand from colleagues that people are, crew members are wearing masks, and they're doing extra cleaning. So, again, I think they need to just proceed with caution on that, but they are starting already. So that's a good sign. The Bahamas is going to open up on June 1st. So that may end up being a spot for maybe people, local, maybe people that want to cross over from Florida, or people that want to charter planes to go over from different places. And, maybe people that really don't mind flying right now would take the chance to go over and do that. So all that's going to be open. The Caribbean, I think, is still going to be closed for a while. The U.S. Virgin Islands is open as of the middle of May. They are going to be chartering in the U.S. Virgin Islands and following kind of the same protocols as everyone, boats clean. I don't know about the crews down there doing masks and such. I would have to look into that a little bit more. And New England, I think my thought is July would be the earliest.
Yeah.
I think that would be hopeful. And then again, I think you're going to get a lot of New Englanders that are going to stay close to home. Obviously people probably canceling their summer vacations to Europe or wherever. So I think that's again a benefit for towns like Newport, coastal towns in Rhode Island and the Cape and the islands and Maine, places like that. If they're all okay with people coming in, then yeah, I think it could be a really good second half of the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. And it probably would extend quite late into the fall.
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
What about Europe and the Mediterranean? I mean, is there any sort of timeline on that?
Yeah, I mean, they're also opening up. I think their timeline is probably on par with New England. I think it's probably realistically July.
Mhm.
I think they're doing like soft openings in Greece and Croatia in June. But travel bans are still in effect as far as I know. So I wouldn't foresee that happening until July. And I know, again, for myself and colleagues, many people are rescheduling for the following season,
Right.
just to err on the side of caution. And the boats are being great about rescheduling. Everybody's playing very nicely, I have to say, which they should, because this is just a luxury industry that, it's not a necessity, it's a gift. And so I'm glad that everybody on all sides are being reasonable about how to handle all this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Similar
definitely.
to, similar to the airlines, I think, they're, allowing cancellations without fees and whatnot. And I just think that that's kind of how everybody has to be right now.
But that will certainly have an effect on the industry. I mean, you're looking at deferring everything for a year, so that's a year that you're kind of almost without income, right? So
Exactly.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nobody gets paid for a year. So yeah, they definitely, I mean, the industry in general, anyone in yachting knows it has such, it's a roller coaster.
Mhm.
And it has ups and downs all the time, whether you are a charter broker or you sell or you're a crew, you go in and out of jobs, it's constantly changing. So most people I know that are smart are ready to ride it out, myself included. I am always sure to save some money and put aside some money for things not like this, because I never saw this coming, but for rough times where there might be some quiet times, you have to be prepared for that in this industry, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's a high level of adaptability within the yachting industry in general. I mean, I'm sure when the BVIs were when they were destroyed a couple years ago, I mean, that obviously had a huge effect on the industry, but it always seems to bounce back.
Yeah, very similar to this in the Caribbean, where everything was just pretty much shut down. Um, the only thing is they didn't have to deal with what they had to deal with then, but it's a different type of pain
Right. Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those places need it. The Bahamas, they need people to come after a recent hurricane. Those locations really need tourism.
Yeah, I think that's something that hasn't been spoken about a lot within super mainstream media is the effect on these small islands. Coming from the Caribbean, I know it's going to have a somewhat devastating effect.
And after the hurricane, I think a lot of people came through. I feel like people that spend time in those special places
Yeah.
always come out and support. And this, which again, back to people rescheduling, some people could have just said, I need that money back now. I want it back. But people said, no, I'll go next year. Something to look forward to. I love the BVIs. I love the Caribbean. So, I mean, that's a testament to those locations and how people feel about them.
Definitely. Absolutely. And you told me earlier a little bit about what you're doing there and
Yeah, so because I lightened my load, my workload, I when I came out and didn't realize I was going to be stuck here for 8 weeks now, I looked into some local volunteer work. So I rolled up to the food bank, and that was pretty heart wrenching because as you probably know, there's a big homeless problem out here, and a lot of people struggling in such a big place like San Francisco. So yeah, to see that up close and personal really was eye-opening for me. And just again realizing you're lucky to have food on the table and a roof over your head right now. And that was great. I met lots of nice people, and again, teachers, people that are zooming classrooms all day and then coming to the food bank with their extra 3 hours is just amazing to me. And the other volunteer work I've been doing is doing PPE, masks, and whatnot for hospital workers out here. And again, most of the people volunteering are nurses who've just come off shift. So that is just mind boggling to me and makes me feel like a total schmuck that I'm not doing more with my life because I just, I'm thinking like, oh, I feel good. I'm helping out for, 10 hours a week or whatever. And these guys are on the front lines and then doing more for their fellow workers,
right.
who are lacking the proper coverage and, you know, they're like, we need to fix that problem. So yeah, it's been, when you think you're supposed to be somewhere, I definitely think I'm supposed to be here right now.
That's great. I mean, you say that you feel like a schmuck, but you're doing something, and
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I could just watch more Netflix than I'm already watching.
good.
And drink more margaritas or something. But no, I have to do that because we earlier discussed. You feel helpless and you feel like it's like you need to do something. You have, and everybody, whatever it is, if you don't have time, then donate. But everybody needs to help, people less fortunate right now. Yeah, and I always, even yachting, I always try to get people to do that too, because we have a lot of resources, and it's just, you know, you have to do that kind of stuff.
But and you're amazing at it because I know here in Newport, you're always connecting people that need to be connected and helping organize things that need to be organized. So, you've put your skill set to good use out there, which is good.
Yeah, no, it's great. It keeps me going. That's what drives me is connecting people for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sue, for being here today. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I appreciate it and can't wait to see you back here in Newport.
definitely. So good to see you, Pearl.